Exactly. Especially us, because exactly. We'll see, like, we're good enough. I'm not gonna do that.
All right, I'll also tell you what I saw. Like I told you, I saw a whole bunch of stuff in here that was varied across student. How do I do this? That's not good enough. Okay, on this one, I posted this as a figure. I would check the figures out for the first one. Other than most people were able to do this, the only problem I saw is something was being typed in incorrectly, either in Excel or your calculators for some of you. And I put a little wrong number sign on whatever you had if that was the case. So if you are typing something wrong, today is the day to figure that out, because you have laptops and you have enough people with laptops that you can kind of watch what someone's typing. It might be a parenthesis issue. There were some numbers that were very large in here. Then you went to graph it and you thought, well, her graph range is like 0 to 0.6. So you knew something was wrong. And I saw you guys frowning when you were looking at it. I couldn't, of course, say anything to you during the quiz itself. But just check what you're typing. If those numbers are really large, I suspect you left out a parenthesis somewhere that was needed. The second problem was to analytically do this. I did this several times. I don't know, maybe you guys just ignored me, but here it is. So when you have a formula like this, like 2n squared over 3n plus 4n squared, if you just put in n equals infinity into here, you get infinity over infinity, which you can't do anything with. So what you do is you divide by the highest power. If you're going to use L'Hopital's rule, you better know everything about it, because there's conditions that are required to use L'Hopital's rule and you have to satisfy them. So you go out on your own and use something else, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm not going to mark it wrong if you do everything on it correctly. If you're doing it this way, it's very simple. You take every term through and divide by the highest powered term, which is n squared. Not 3n squared, not 4n squared, n squared. You can do 3n squared or 4n squared, but it's just going to make the work harder at the end. This is the easiest way to do it. You see now that they reduce to this, 3 over n. Now I can see what happens. What happens to 3 over n as n gets large? 0, because 3 over n has a big bottom and big bottoms go to 0. And that's why that drops out. So I get the answer, which is 1/2. This is like 2 seconds to do. I know that you guys can do it. So this is what you do on this one. And it should match your numerical stuff on the other side. This was a bad choice here, the 20, because you're trying to approximate at x equals 2. You're trying to approximate the slope at x equals 2. 20 is way out there somewhere, so it's too far away from 2. What kind of numbers would be good to plug in here instead of 2 plus 20? 2 itself won't work, right? Because that gives you only 1 point.
Like 0.9, 1, 1.4.
1.4, 1.9.
Yeah.
What about 2.1, 2.2? You want to hug around 2 because you're trying to approximate around 2. So that's the whole point. So this one told me a lot if you didn't know that this was a bad choice, or you said it was a bad choice but had the wrong reason. So I could tell.
So you always want to be around the x. Like whatever x is, you always want to be around that.
Right, because you want to get, it's not, when you had those growth charts, it's not like you went out to 18 years of age and tried to approximate how much weight they should be gaining by 18 to get what they should be gaining at age 2. You hugged around age 2 and said 5 pounds a year, right? You didn't go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what you want. And when you did go out somewhere, what happened? Do you remember that growth curve thing when you went out to 18 years of age? Did it give you a good approximation? No, it was underestimating. Do you remember that? Because you went out too far. You extended your approximation too far. So your approximation has to be close. I changed this question for your in-class assignment today. And it was interesting, like half the class, 10-20 section, I pick on them a lot, they're first. But the 10-20 section, half the class went, what do you want us to do here? Like, you choose. You choose what to put in that table. And if you know what goes in there, if the point is 2 that you have to go around and they're putting in 5, then I know something. I know that they didn't get me. They didn't get me. They either aren't buying what I'm trying to sell, or they honestly didn't get me. So that opens up kind of a gap where today I really feel we closed the gap for many, many people. So hopefully we'll do the same thing here. So that was a bad choice because it's too far away and it's not a good approximation anymore. Here I'm getting more and more people on board here. It's just factoring. People are relying more on Mathway to do the factoring. My feeling is if you can't factor something at this point, Red Hawk might have tried with you, pre-calculus might have tried with you, high school might have tried with you. I'm not going to try to teach you how to factor anymore. Just use Mathway and use factoring on Mathway at this point. This is a dead-end class. If you were in Calc 1, I wouldn't be telling you that. I just want you to know, if you're advising someone to take Calc 1 from me, they're not going to get the same treatment. So this is your last math class you're going to take, and you probably will never have to factor anything ever again unless it's on the MCATs. I hope it's not. Sue?
Where was the rubric for question number 2?
There was none. It was the all or nothing. You either know that answer or you don't, right? There's no partial credit on that one. Okay, so this one, I had some interesting questions I asked. I know how to dig. I asked someone, well, why are you plugging the a into the function? And they said, because that's how you get the y value. And I said, but why did you get the x and y value, a and f? Why did you do that? And they said, I don't know, because everybody else in my group was doing it. That's not a good answer. Like, always dig at yourself and say, do I really know why I'm doing this? And if you don't, just text me. It's probably a very simple one-sentence explanation that's going to get it to click. But you have to ask me first, because sometimes I don't know that you don't know until a quiz or a test comes. So try to dig at yourself like that. Do I know why I'm doing this? That one, I think, let's see. Was this the one you wanted to know? Number 3?
4.
Okay, so this one's okay now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to review that one.
All right, we had a way to do this in the 1020 class. We'll do it again like this. Here, this one was interesting. I gave different curves for different things. Some of you drew the curve that you had by this time back again. All this is you go through the steps. You're drawing the slope curve. The slope is changing at every point on this curve. So the first thing you have to do is identify where it's flat. So it's flat here, and it's flat here. Wherever it's flat, the slope curve goes through the x-axis. So right below where it's flat, I should have put an x there and an x here. Wherever it's flat, that's where the slope curve goes through the x-axis. Wherever it's increasing, the slope curve must be above the x-axis, because increasing means positive slope. So that's why this stick over here is higher than the x-axis, right where my arrow goes up. As long as my arrow is going up, this graph has to be above the x-axis. If the arrow goes down, this curve has to be below the x-axis. It crosses the x-axis right where it's flat. So there you have the flat parts, below the x-axis where it's decreasing, above the x-axis where it's increasing. And you know what? I just did that, but when you guys sit with each other, I saw people getting it when they were sitting next to someone showing them, having a finger trace it and show them. Everyone in the 1020 class walked away and went, I can't believe that was so easy. So I think that when we sit together in groups, whoever got that correct really nailed it. And so there's no way to draw this unless you really nail it. So sitting down together is going to help today. And then that was it, right? So all versions of the quiz are here with all the keys. That's more answers. The practice button gives you more questions. I would just make up sample exams and see if you can finish all the material within a specified time. I usually give myself less time at home to finish something than in a class. There's something about being in a class with no windows and fluorescent lights that just, you get that mall tired feeling. It's like a bad feeling, right? And the other people are stressing out and taking tests, and then somebody talked to you before the class, and you're like, I don't think I know that. So you get stressed out. So add in about 10 or 15 more minutes onto your time limit when you practice. Say, I need to get this done in less time than I would in class. Oh, I'm going to actually leave that off, so don't do that problem. I'll just restructure the grades so that they're recentered. I'm not comfortable right now giving you that because, if Dr. Golnabi's class is a little bit ahead of us, we'll catch up to him, and we'll catch up to him with everyone knowing what they're supposed to do, right? I'd rather do it that way than just drive on. It makes more sense. So we're going to skip that on the in-class assignment today, too. Right. Unless you want me to give you more material today. I'm not comfortable with it. You want more material today? That guy said he wants more material today. No, he didn't. He said no.
I have a question. It's in the meeting for number 3.
Mm-hmm.
When I plugged it into Mathway, it says -8. How do you go from negative? Where did you get the -2 from?
Which problem was it?
3.
Which version?
That one.
This one? There's 2 classes and 2 versions for each class. Make sure you have the right versions. I'll come to your desk and look at it, okay?